Einst sagte mal jemand, auch unsere moderne Zeit steckt voller Mysterien. Wenn wir einen Fall lösen wollen, führt das uns zu Verdächtigen, zu den möglichen Abdrücken, die diese hinterlassen haben, zu den möglichen Plänen von den Tatorten oder auch zu zwielichtigen Gestalten oder exotischen Orten bis hin zu Forensik, die die Spuren aufnehmen. Aber eines haben alle gemeinsam. Es bildet sich der rote Faden des Verbrechens. Hallo da draußen, wie schon am Anfang erwähnt, willkommen zu Der rote Faden des Verbrechens, dem True Crime Podcast, in dem wir uns verschiedensten Fällen widmen. Mein Name ist Colino, ich selbst bin Forensewissenschaftler und euer Host. Der Grund, wieso ihr mich heute vor der Kamera seht, ist, weil ich die nächste Phase meines Podcasts einleite, was bedeutet, dass ihr mich nicht nur hören könnt, sondern mich auch sehen könnt, wenn ich über verschiedene Fälle spreche. Zusätzlich möchte ich in manchen Episoden Experten aus verschiedenen Feldern der Strafverfolgungsbehörde oder auch der Forensik einladen, um euch die Möglichkeit zu geben, zu verstehen, wie es ist, Ermittler zu sein oder auch forensischer Spezialist. Um die nächste Phase einzuleiten, habe ich für euch heute einen besonderen Gast. Sein Name ist Scott Duffy. Er ist ein pensionierter FBI-Agent und hat über 22 Jahre für das FBI gearbeitet. Und eines seiner Fälle war der 11. September, wo er unter anderem ermittelt hat. Bevor das Interview beginnt, 2 Sachen. Zum einen, dieses Interview ist komplett auf Englisch. Ihr habt aber die Möglichkeit, deutsche Untertitel einzuschalten. Das andere ist, schaut euch diese Episode bis komplett zum Ende an, weil ihr als Zuschauer da draußen habt die Möglichkeit, diesen Podcast mitzugestalten. Nun beginnt die Folge. Hello everyone, welcome to the Red Thread of Crime, the True Crime podcast in which we discuss different cases. My name is Colino and I'm your host, and for today's episode I have a special guest for you. His name is Scott Duffy. He's a retired supervisory special agent from the FBI. He has over 22 years experiences working for the FBI. He spent his career catching fugitives, leading task force violent crimes, and he is an interrogation expert. Thank you very much for joining me today, Scott.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite, Kalina.
No worries. Yeah, you're welcome. And first thing I wanted to ask you, why did you choose the path to work for the FBI? Was it always your dream as a child, or is it just that somebody told you it's a best organization in the world and you just joined? This is something that I hear from the movies. That's why.
I would say it was all of the above. It's a interesting path. I think I've always had the notion of it, having an FBI agent visit early in my probably, I think, my elementary school years.
Mhm.
Somebody's dad probably came in
Mhm.
and just talked to the class, and then as a police officer, growing up near as a neighbor to a police officer. So the combination, here in the United States, you have your federal, state, and your local. So you have your career paths if you're in the
Mhm.
criminal justice, the law enforcement field. And so the FBI and local law enforcement has always been a part of my life. And so it was a natural trend for me to at least try to get into those. And so I was successful. Two dream jobs, I think, being local law enforcement. Missed it terribly leaving, but loved my new FBI family.
So, and how was it for you you have to go through training and so on. How was it for you? Was it really hard, or did you feel that you were chosen to exactly do this job?
Yeah, I always felt it was a calling. And so in the police department, I joined, it's a township right outside Philadelphia. They border Philadelphia, on the west side of Philadelphia. And any, especially in Pennsylvania Police Academy, um, it's unless you're in the state police or some city departments, they are what we call a commuter
Mhm,
academy.
mhm,
So you're there early in the morning, sometimes as early as 6:30, but traditionally 7:30, 8 o'clock,
mhm,
and then you're done 4:30, even sometimes as late as 5. So it is typically an 8 or 9 hour academy, and you're there before and after, kind of in study sessions, and it's all the academics, the shooting, the driving, all the tactical training. Back then in 1991, it was 16 weeks. It's now extended to about 22 weeks. And
mhm,
then in the FBI, very similar. That is a residential academy. So you're living there day and night,
mhm,
which to me is a big part of an academy experience. Really get to know who you're going to be working with,
mhm,
and a lot, because there you're with everybody day and night, and you
mhm.
really get a good feel for the people you're in the academy with, and then of course be working with. So that back then in 1997 was a 16-week academy, and it is now, I think, extended it to 22 weeks.
22 weeks, it's a lot, yes.
Yeah, it is.
And did you make also friends there which also stayed in the FBI, or did you also make friends who, you didn't pass the academy?
Yeah, so you make plenty of friends, and now teaching in the police academy to this day, you really do get a feel for just what transpires from day one, watching these
Mhm.
young recruits come in,
Yeah.
knowing that I was just like them
Yeah.
so many years ago, and to see, they're in it, they're wanting it. Some having absolutely no military experience. I had no military experience.
Mhm.
So the drills are there, the uniform, the yes ma'am, yes sir, no ma'am, no sir, all the learning of the language. So you really do get to know the people you're with and going through that cohort or that academy session with, and you really do become lifelong friends.
And also something that I heard is that a lot of people come to the FBI with different kind of background, as for example, being before a cooker or something, or a taxi driver. And it's pretty interesting that it is possible still to join the FBI. Doesn't matter what your background
Yeah.
is. Mhm,
Yeah, Kalino, the backgrounds for the FBI is amazing, and it's really they try to recruit obviously those with specialties,
mhm,
in a variety of areas, whether it be language, speaking numerous different languages,
mhm,
your cyber experts, your forensic experts,
mhm,
but they're going to train everybody just the same, which is pretty cool. So everybody's going to have that um, that first level, that entry level understanding. There may be those, for example, I had 6 years in law enforcement, understanding how to interview people, how to talk to people, what to look for. And then there are those who were McDonald's managers, who were mechanics,
yeah,
who got the basics to enter into the FBI is a 4-year degree.
mhm,
We still require it. And with that, some life experience. And that life experience could be in anything, whether it be a lawyer, an accountant, a mechanic, a McDonald's employee, teachers, just
mhm.
you name it. There's probably athletes, pro athletes. Um, it, it is I don't know of a background that hasn't entered into the FBI. And that's one of the amazing things for the FBI as an agency. And then of course teaching everybody from the ground roots the same thing, and so thereby there's that consistency, and then you get to bring with your backgrounds and your talents who you are,
Mhm.
to the table and then enter into the field. Once you're graduated, you're entering into one of 56 field offices
Mhm.
throughout the country. And then, of course, there are these substations or these satellite offices or these resident agencies, whatever you're going to call it. They're much smaller offices. And often they try to fill those with new agents who have some background, who would be able to hit the ground running. And that's why I got Wilmington,
Mhm.
which is known as the Wilmington, Delaware Resident Agency,
Mhm.
WRA. And so that was out of our field office of Baltimore.
Mhm.
And so entered with about 13 or 14 agents who were in the office covering a variety of different violations.
And also something that I heard is about the PST, the entry test, the fitness level test. Is it pretty so hard as they show sometimes in these YouTube videos? But I can imagine. I mean, if you have to run after somebody, you have to be really fast and strong as well.
Yeah, the physical requirements, they're stringent, but they're not. They're looking. It's definitely doable,
Mhm.
and with a little bit of practice, whether it be the running,
Mhm.
short term, long term.
Mhm.
I believe I might be a little bit wrong because it does change, it does adapt. It's typically a mile and a half, 2 miles, but they're
Mhm.
running recruits a couple of miles a
Mhm.
day, some, up to 5 miles.
Mhm.
But you're practicing that long term, and then you're doing your sprint work, you're doing your hurdle work, you're doing, from a lying down position, get up and run.
Mhm.
All these things that could come into an agent's everyday life, especially if they're doing long-term surveillance, maybe an arrest, a search, and so there are lots of things you have to do: climbing, getting
Yeah.
into ceilings, leaving no stone unturned. So yeah, the physical requirements are demanding but very doable. And
Mhm.
if somebody hasn't done that type of training, the
Yeah.
FBI puts it on their website to say, start training and try to meet these minimum requirements. And then if you have to pass this minimum requirement to get in, but
Mhm.
then of course throughout the academy, in intervals, they're training you and helping you to get to your goals with regards to the physical requirements.
And when you finished the academy, how was the beginning for you as a rookie in the FBI? Can you tell a bit?
Yeah, so they call
Hmm?
you newbies, right? They call you
Newbies,
newbies in the
not
FBI.
rookie. Okay.
And the rookie is as a police officer, and then a newbie
Newbie.
is
Okay.
a new agent, right?
Mhm.
You're a new agent, and so you, just very similar to all of law enforcement, federal, state, or local, you get a training officer, you get a
Mhm.
training agent,
Mhm.
whether it be an FTO, field training officer, or an FTA, field training agent.
Mhm.
And that's somebody who typically has seniority. But when you have these high turnovers in
Yeah.
the FBI, and they go through waves where you'll have a massive retirement and then a massive recruitment. So you have a lot of new agents. So you may have a training agent that might
Mhm.
have a year on, not
Oh.
not 5, 10, 15
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the office that you're getting into. So you may be in a very new office where the turnover
Mhm.
is vast. So
Mhm.
you may have a senior agent that's 5 years in, 3 years in, uh, and and so will be your field training agent, and they're there to guide you.
Mhm.
You go through your training in the academy, but then it's a whole different world to have that training on the street. And you can go through role playing on how to interview people, go to role
Yeah.
play. For example, if you're a role player in the FBI, you may be told, hey, unless they're doing this, don't give them that, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Whether you're a witness, a victim, or a suspect.
Mhm.
But in real life, there's no do-over. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
you're trying to figure out
Yeah.
what makes that person tick, that I can get them to speak. That's why I loved interviewing people of all different types. Just being able to, and I learned a lot, and that always helped me
Mhm.
um, with the next person I'm going to be interviewing. But an agent gets a
Mhm.
book,
Yeah.
and that book has requirements in it in order to meet your new agent training,
Mhm.
complete your new agent training. So when an agent enters into a field office from the training academy, they're already 6 months into the FBI, right? 6 months of training.
Mhm.
Now you have an additional um, 18 months of um, as a rookie, as a new agent, where
Mhm.
you're on probation. And
Mhm.
so they're able to look at you to see that you are progressing. And in those 18 months, in order to get to your first level of
Mhm.
as a FBI agent,
Mhm.
who's completed their probationary training, the
Mhm.
academy, and then of course their field training.
Mhm.
You could be assigned a number of squads: violent crime, white collar crime, cyber crime, crimes against children,
Mhm.
property crimes.
Mhm.
You could be in the United States in one of these tribal areas. So the FBI would be handling, and so we had um, a small area. So for example, you have your Veterans Affairs and whatnot. If something were to happen, it could be a traffic ticket, it could be whatever have you, which an FBI agent would never be doing. But if there are areas that we're only investigating agency,
Mhm.
for example, and your tribal, your Indian territories, the FBI is going to be the investigator, which could be a simple theft,
Mhm.
um, as opposed to the major thefts and crimes that typically the FBI would be involved. And so when you do those types of training, your
Mhm.
training agent is marking off your book to say, for example, a new agent might have to interview 6 victims, 10, but whatever the number is,
Mhm.
be able to go to court
Mhm.
so many times and to have testified.
Mhm.
Now, a new agent, typical case to investigate,
Mhm.
to open a case, investigate a case.
Mhm.
It's months to years, and so then followed by court. No agent is going to be able to start a case and end a
Yep.
case, but you have those requirements, and so that's
Mhm.
where the the training agent keeping their ears open to say, "Hey, there's a court case coming up on another case.
Mhm.
And so we want you to brief up on the case and testify so you can meet those requirements." And it's amazing the type of training that goes in to get this new agent trained, get off probation,
Mhm.
and get down to the work that they've 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 trained to do and wanted to do probably their whole lives.
And do you remember your first time you testified in the court?
Yeah.
Can you recall it a bit?
Yeah, so it is for me. I've had already as a police officer
Mhm.
training
Ah,
because
of
as
course.
so for example, where I was a police officer,
Mhm.
you're in court just about every week for traffic tickets, so parking tickets, traffic tickets.
Yeah.
You really learn
Mhm.
because, and I remember my first traffic ticket. You're
Mhm.
going and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
It's like the camera's on and you freeze. It's a deer in
Mhm.
headlights and no
Yeah.
different as a police officer. And the
Mhm.
judge knows, the attorneys knows, both the prosecutor
Mhm.
and a defense attorney. And they all know, hey, this is your first time, your second time, your third time. It really it really fine tunes you. What I love about testifying, what I love about failing, um, whether you do something wrong, you cannot take your police reports, your notes with you up there. You can, but you can't refer to them
Mhm.
unless allowed by, hey, you're testifying from memory.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a lot of detail that goes into, especially if you're a case agent,
Mhm.
an investigator. I worked accidents, and so you're an accident investigator. Well, accidents could be um, a dozen a day.
Mhm.
And so now all of a sudden you're called to testify for something that might have happened several months ago,
Mhm.
and you have to really refresh your memory
Mhm.
on what accident that was or what case that was. So being in a courtroom is an amazing thing. I don't think today's police officer gets a whole lot of training,
Mhm,
and I do think there should be additional training for a courtroom preparation, courtroom
mhm,
testimony, because again, it's the real life.
yeah,
And a judge may see, okay, you're not remembering or you're not answering the
mm,
question correctly, but I'm going to help you because you're new.
mm,
So there is that guidance,
mm,
and you might misspeak about something, and then the good prosecutor will say, "Are you sure about that?" And you're like, "No, I'm not sure."
mm,
And so they'll be like, then they'll hand you a document. Will
yeah,
this refresh your memory? So all those things that help you early in your career, like anything else, we're all new at something. You're allowed to make mistakes, and then you grow from there.
and you, as I already said in the beginning, you are interrogation expert. When did it start? Did you say in the beginning, "Oh, I want to be interrogation expert," or did it come just
Yeah.
with the time that people said that you are really good in it and you say, "Okay, I will jump into this"?
Well, if I can say, I enjoy, and I will say anybody who enjoys what they do and they become special at it, they become
Mhm,
specially trained at it. So I would
mhm,
never put myself as an expert in any
mhm,
category.
mhm,
But I enjoyed the art, what we now call the art of the interview.
mhm,
Interrogation, it's a great word. It's the technical aspects of it are still there. They're
mhm,
part of the training. But
mhm,
like anything else, cultural changes.
mhm,
The interrogation word sounds like it's a force of
mhm,
getting of the interviewer getting
mhm,
somebody to say something that they otherwise is not truthful, and that is absolutely not what it's about. But
mhm,
the interview, and I believe the FBI is very good at what it does, and I was part
mhm,
early on of some fantastic, and I would call them experts of
mhm,
Quantico special agents, supervisor special agents
mhm,
who have been in the field for so long and then
mhm,
get to go to Quantico
mhm,
and work on special programs and things. And so the FBI always fine tuning its things in the lab and in Quantico as a place of training,
mhm,
that they decided years ago, hey, interviewing is a big part of what the FBI does. That's how we get information. We have our forensic experts, we have our tactical experts,
mhm,
we can collect evidence, but interviewing people is where you get information
mhm,
and be able to corroborate that. And so I've had a great opportunity both as a police officer and as a new agent within Wilmington to be able to interview a lot. And I enjoyed watching people. I enjoyed watching people squirm. I enjoyed watching people nervous, as I can only imagine myself
mhm,
in that position. And that's ultimately what it is. It's imagining yourself in that chair
mhm,
and being able to identify, and then listening to the experts, for example, physiologists and whatnot, who have studied human behavior and say, when somebody is lying, the body tends to do this, right? I've kind of turned it into um, where, for example, if I do this, right,
yeah, yeah,
this may be this may be comfortable for
mhm,
me.
yeah,
Um,
or doing this
we're
sometimes.
doing this,
Yes.
with typically, right?
Mhm,
It's not an automatic sign
mhm,
that you're lying, you're deceiving,
mhm,
but it should ask the interviewer
mhm,
to be mindful of what the body is doing and then to follow up with a question. I call them shifts in body. So,
mhm,
for example, um, if if I sit down as an invited guest,
mhm,
not I haven't been arrested, but I've been invited to the FBI office to provide an interview.
mhm,
And so now the interviewer, the FBI agent, is going to ask a series of questions. I
mhm,
want to first and foremost lower the temperature, figuratively and of course literally in that room. I want the individual to feel comfortable, and but by doing that, by a series of questions that could be biographical. Hey, how are you? What's your hobby? Tell me a little bit about you, your family, your likes, your wants, your hates, your desires, and so forth. I just want to get to know you, no different than somebody who's getting to know a friend.
Mhm,
Um, as kids, you grow up in your neighbors, your
mhm,
schoolmates, and you're there are kids that you're immediately attracted to in the sense that um, I like you, and somehow we feel like we're on the same playing field. Um, and so that in life, the relationships
mhm,
we garnish,
mhm,
um, we do that from early childhood
mhm,
into adulthood, and so thereby we can learn from those experiences and be
mhm,
able to say, can I put you in a place that makes you at ease? Where are you most at ease? In your house, apartment, something you call home?
mhm,
Are you comfortable at work? Are you comfortable in a bar situation, a restaurant, a playground, a forest? Do you want nobody around? And so it's my job as an interviewer to through my questioning, but also watching your body to say, how do I get you to a place to be comfortable
mhm,
and to be able to talk to me? It's through tone, it's through a series of questioning, but at the same time, as I watch your body, I'm also looking for the shifts as it's what are you at rest?
mhm,
I could be like this from the get go,
mhm,
and so I'm watching your arms, but I'm not necessarily paying attention unless I see it do something different, and
mhm,
so ultimately that open conversation is my hands are open,
mhm,
my shoulders are
mhm,
squared, my face is facing you as opposed to down,
mhm,
no eye contact.
mhm,
And so I'm gauging those during the interview. And so we can say there are things that I can detect to
mhm,
see that you are being deceptive
mhm,
or holding back. And can I say the right thing to get you to change your story?
mhm,
Because, for example, when I interview somebody, I hope I've already done the homework. For example, where's the evidence taking me? Has
mhm,
the evidence pointed me towards you?
mhm,
And I have the evidence, the physical evidence. The evidence is not going to lie. The
mhm,
evidence is there, right?
mhm,
And so thereby I'm using that to help me in craft my questions in an interview as opposed to a cold interview, picking somebody off the street randomly, putting
mhm,
them in a chair and then asking them a list of questions. I may be able to detect if they're being deceptive, being
mhm,
nervous, whatnot. Um, but if I don't have something to fall back on that I say, I know that's truth, I know it's factual, and the answers you're giving me are going against rational thinking, the
mhm,
evidence that I have before me, and then I get to watch the body do things. If
mhm,
I ask a question and they're like this, and they're like, they turn away and go to that, I'll say that's a closed off
mhm,
bodily reaction. It doesn't necessarily mean, or it absolutely mean, a lie is going to come out of that mouth,
mhm,
but it's a higher indicator. And so then I just do a couple more follow up questions and see what exactly is being said. So in that regard, I've really enjoyed the art of it. I've
mhm,
enjoyed the science of it,
mhm,
and of course practice. Interview lots of people on
mhm,
and off camera. I've done a lot of interviews on camera, and then
mhm,
I get to go back and say, "Oh, I missed that
mhm.
during that interview," but I can see the body
Yeah.
reacting in such a way that yes, I do believe that was a lie that came out of their mouth.
But was it also, I mean, like, for example, like 20 years ago, when you did an interrogation, that when you saw something, for example, somebody's recalling a memory instead of watching this direction, looking in the other direction, and did it change the thought during the years that you say, okay, this is not an indicator of somebody is maybe lying, maybe it's just like this?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why you'll hear, especially today.
Mhm,
Um, of this what's called SBI, science-based interviewing.
Mhm.
And so I've always believed the FBI has always followed the science, and that's why I'll never call myself an expert, but I'll say I'm pretty darn good at it.
Mhm.
It is you you don't you don't look or hear something that is said and then immediately say lie.
Mhm.
And so what is the truth? It's not what is being said. You are saying to yourself,
Mhm.
and you're if you're a primary interviewer with the secondary, hopefully the secondary interview is making those notes, but you're building just like in the forensic world,
Mhm.
you see something and you have it and you're like, wow, that's scientifically proven.
Mhm.
DNA, a fingerprint, for example, fingerprints. We have millions of fingerprints on file, DNA profiles to say
Mhm.
that profile belongs to this person, or it's unknown, it's in CODIS, right?
Mhm.
Our scientific, our database
Mhm.
that's there and waiting for a
Mhm.
match to come in
Mhm.
who has a name. And if
Mhm.
there's not a name, to say, oh, there's two of the same DNA from two different crime scenes, most likely it's the same person, right? And so you're able to piece those things together, but you're building a case.
Mhm.
In the same way there, a lie is a lie. And so make a note of it. Okay, why is and as you build that up
Mhm.
and then say, I think I have enough pieces and the lie is continued, maybe it told us some different ways, then I can go after the person and say, are you ready to tell me the truth? And while I do that, I'm looking at the body to say, have I made the right judgments and saying that's a lie?
Mhm.
Have I done my homework to say these many different pieces that I have put together to say that's a lie? And now somebody says, okay, I'll I'm tired of telling you a lie. I'm
Mhm.
watching those body changes.
Mhm.
And then that's confirming to me, hey, what I've learned, I put into practice, it's come
Mhm.
out to be. But then there are exceptions. There's an exception to every rule, is there not? So is the eye thing.
Mhm.
There are introverts, there are extroverts. There are people who look at you dead in the eye without
Mhm.
blinking, and
Mhm.
there are people who have normal blinking. There are people who blink because they have contacts. Their
Mhm.
contacts are itchy.
Yep.
Uh, there are people who look up to the left. There are people who look up to the right. Are you
Mhm.
looking up to the left to draw back on an experience, a true
Mhm.
memory? Are you
Mhm.
looking up to the right um, uh, to think of something that's made up, and so thereby it's part of the story making, right? Or looking down one way or the other.
Mhm.
So I've kind of moved away from that, as I do
Mhm.
believe our
Mhm.
science has moved away from that. That
Mhm.
are there people who aren't comfortable
Mhm.
because of their culture?
Mhm.
I've interviewed people who refuse to look at me, and then early in my career, why are you not looking at me? Are you hiding something?
Mhm.
And I'll be told it's a cultural thing, and
Mhm.
so I have to be aware of the culture.
Yep.
Uh, is somebody allowed to look at me in the eye?
Mhm.
Does somebody have a mental health
Mhm.
issue that's going on?
Mhm.
Is somebody taking some medication, or is there some drug that's causing them? Those
Mhm.
are the things that could then change
Mhm.
the thought, and I have to be aware, but that's part of my questioning too. You put it all together and say, I believe what has been said is the truth,
Mhm.
um, and thereby confirms the story of all the nuggets that I picked along the way through my forensic experts who
Mhm.
have reported back to me. Um, and so thereby it helps me confirm, hey,
Mhm.
that looking away, looking up, looking down helped, or yeah, I probably won't rely upon that too much because I have seen the same type
Mhm.
of reaction in two different bodies where I believe both are telling the truth, and so thereby why are they um, looking? away when they should be looking at me. So it's a everything is an education, and don't fall upon something as an absolute, but
Mm,
as a tool, uh, what I would call a probable cause to say, ask the question again and see if I get the same answer.
and also about the gut feeling, is this also really important for
Sure.
you that you know, "Oh, there is something that this person is hiding. I don't know. I don't see the signs, but I have some kind of gut feeling for it."
Yeah. So that's experience.
Mm,
So no matter what field of study you're in,
mhm,
you become so good at it, not complacent, but you become so good at it. That's why
mm,
what I like about the FBI training and many law enforcement academies, but they're you're training the same way, so you do something consistently
mm,
each and every time. So, for example, if I'm a homicide detective, that's going to
mm,
be a lot of interviewing, and it's
mhm,
going to be talking to both witnesses, talking to, and then ultimately their suspect.
mm,
Um, and so they're going to the crime scene the same
mm,
way they did if they were in property crimes, thefts, retail thefts, or drugs.
mm,
And in the FBI, you really get the gamut of many different types of suspects who have done so many different types of things, and you really get a good feel for it. And so, thereby, your experience is helping you make judgments. Um, those judgments can be wrong, they could be filtered with some biases that I might have carried from something else, right? That's just part
mm,
of being human. But the hunches and those things that you're learning early in your career to always be able to articulate. For example, the first time
mm,
you see a stolen car go by you,
mhm,
let me take you through that experience.
mhm,
There is an immediate reaction. If you're a police officer in a marked car and you're driving, you're aware. Your job is to have your head on a swivel.
mm,
And I'm not just looking at the car, I'm looking at the driver.
mhm,
And so the driver's immediately cued in on you, because if a driver has stolen a car, they're very well aware that they're in something they're not supposed to be. They
mm,
have something they're not supposed to have. And so that reaction is just like a child who took something in
mhm,
front of a parent.
mhm.
The parent said, "You took it." I And so that's an instinctive reaction. There's no textbook that told me
Yeah,
as a parent. I know what that looks like.
mhm,
And so you carry those things, whether it be child,
mhm,
your experience of your relationships. That's what I love about law enforcement. You take all your experiences, good and bad,
mhm,
into your job. And so now if all of a sudden a car is going by me, and I know, let's say I just know, hey, Hondas are a highly stolen car. I just know that because that's what my training manuals have told me. That's what my Bolo in law enforcement is, be on the lookout.
mhm,
And it'd be like, I see a lot more Hondas than I do other types of cars.
mhm.
And so I know I'm in an area that has a high number of Hondas.
That's
And so if I see a car coming at me, I'll know if somebody's just naturally driving.
mhm,
um, and for me, it's no second thought. But
mhm,
if you see something in the eyes, the face, and
mhm.
what's going to happen is they're going to look at you. What? And so at that moment, that's not
Did they do
probable.
something wrong? Yeah.
No, that's not probable cause to do anything.
Mhm,
But it is an instinct
mhm,
experience to say, you know what? Let me check that registration
mhm,
through my computer. Is it stolen? What if it's newly stolen? It's not yet in the computer.
mhm,
Then I could do a little bit more searches. What am I doing? I'm building probable cause. I'm trying to find the facts to help confirm, am I wrong? Am I biased? Is
mhm,
this or that?
mhm,
Or is that a stolen car? And should I do my due diligence to try to retrieve that car, determine it's
mhm,
stolen? So now all of a sudden I go past, and
mhm,
then I don't see a tag on the back of the car,
mhm,
or the tag is not yet reported stolen to law enforcement. But
mhm,
now all of a sudden I see that car becoming erratic, maybe speeding up. I do a U-turn, and now the car takes off. Are those indicators that the car is stolen? They're indicators, but it's not yet confirmed, right? So I'm building. Same way in an interview. I'm building those natural instincts. My body, my hunches, they're all saying, go after that car, go
Mm,
after that lie, go
mm,
after that story. When a story is truth,
mhm,
we have a saying that the truth, right, is simply a conveyance of information. I don't care if you believe it or not, it's the truth. And my body's going to react to that way. I'm at ease.
mm.
A convincer, right? The lie. I have to convince you, and I'll do everything in my power to convince you that what I'm telling you is the truth. But my body's all over the place. It's erratic, just like that possible stolen car.
It's the same when people say, "I really, really didn't do it. I'm
Oh,
honest. I'm an honest person." Yes.
yeah,
That's an indicator. And what of this all this experience during your time in the FBI helped you also in the privates, also in your private life, like I don't
yeah,
know, girlfriends and so on, to detect the lie or
yeah.
or your children?
I teach these classes now to law enforcement. I simply say, beware of
Yeah.
utilizing these tools
Mhm,
at home.
mhm,
Uh, and so they are great in the
mhm,
sense that, especially as a father of
mhm,
four,
mhm,
these things, they pick up on you, and sometimes you're like, I don't, I don't want to know the truth.
mhm.
Don't ask the question
Yeah.
if you don't really want to know the answer. So yeah, they become a part of you, and the whole idea is that what you do off duty and on duty in your
Mhm,
private life, your public life,
mhm,
should all mesh, and they're supporting. You'll be able to see things. For example, I will tell you this: when I went, I never gone to Walt Disney
mhm,
as a kid. Just didn't have it, and so I always wanted to. And so my four kids, my wife, we make the trip to Disney,
mhm,
2017. And I would say, with my vast amount of FBI years now at that point, just a shy of retirement, when you go to the place that says we're the land of happy and everybody's happy, and I'm like, I, I tell you, Kalino,
mhm.
so many, I feel bad for the characters, but
Yeah.
those who are not behind a mask, when they're welcoming you and they're
Mhm,
smiling at you,
mhm.
it
Yeah.
was, I'd be like, you're not happy. You're not happy.
Yes.
This is a bad day for you.
Yeah,
Yet I see the smile. They're doing everything that they're
yeah,
trained to do as welcome mats, right? But I could see, wow, there's probably a high level of stress
yeah.
because they're probably overworked. And so the upside is my kids loved it.
Mhm,
They got to experience Walt Disney at those nice, good early ages. For me, having not experienced it, and then I'm like, it was a bit of a letdown.
mhm.
I enjoyed the whole behind the scenes, um, but I love studying people. I love talking to people,
Yeah.
and so thereby I'm like, yeah, Walt Disney should do a better job in helping their people. That was, um, it's you could tell there are plenty of people who love their jobs, and then there are people who where it is just a job
Mm,
to make ends meet or do whatever. And I do believe
mm,
um, you have to love what you're doing,
mm,
but not everybody has that luxury of loving what they're doing. It was a luxury for me. I loved what I did.
mhm. And I guess also when you went to the shops or, for example, maybe to Starbucks, you sometimes also I notice when I'm at Starbucks or any cafe, you can see if the person really likes the job or if it's just, yeah, just to have something to
Yeah.
live. Yeah.
You know immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm able to figure out who are the people that are gonna be able to help me.
Mhm,
There are you can just see on their face, they are absolutely elated to be there. It just
mhm,
shows. And I do that on purpose. I will approach people
mhm,
specifically in order to confirm what am I doing? I'm training
mhm,
um, on the job, off the job. So
mhm,
that way I'm confirming my beliefs. Or is that a bias? Hey, you look upset. I'm not upset. And so I'm like, well, that was a bad judgment.
mhm,
I wrongfully accused there.
mhm,
So I could easily see people, especially in an airport, um, like TSA has a job. They have a job. Their
Mhm,
job is to protect the airport and of course the airplane. And their job is whatever it is that could be used as a weapon. I'm
mhm,
going to be that last bastion of security.
mhm,
And that's why all the tools are there, right? The magnetometers and the
mhm,
screenings, the scans.
mhm,
But their physical job is
mhm,
that's security number one. Are you intimidated enough to say, "Oh, wow, this person's gonna figure out, let me get rid of something."
mhm,
That's job number one. But at the same time, you can tell the people are be like, "You look lost, and I'm here to help you and
mhm,
help your experience from the long line of
mhm.
stress and taking your shoes off and your belt and this and
Yeah.
that." Um, you can tell the TSA agents who have the experience, who
Mhm,
are also there, that they love their job,
mhm,
regardless of the long hours, and they can still do it. They can still be secure, but they
mhm,
also you can see on their face,
mhm,
"I have a question." Yep. And I'm somebody who probably has an answer or can
mhm,
direct you. You can tell who those people are in any walk of life
mhm,
who can help you, who can redirect you to where you need to, or who could care less.
mhm,
And so you don't waste your time and move on. And being a teacher now, um, I enjoy being in the classroom, trying to appeal to that student who may not want to be there
mhm,
and try to see if I can convince them, "Hey, it's going to be a good experience, even if you're a lousy student.
mhm,
Let me take the stress of a future exam away on an
mhm.
assignment that you're thinking of, and you're not being in the moment. It's being in the moment and understand it is. And so that's why my life, both in law enforcement, locally and federally, now transpires to my full-time teaching.
Yes. I guess it's also, I mean, it's a kind of feeling that you get also when you walk into the airport and so on. Because I know this myself when I travel, I when I need to ask for direction, I look at people who look like they can help me and not the people who have like they look like they don't want really to engage with you. And yeah, sometimes you get also really good feedback. Oh, thank you, and so on. And yeah, that's why I guess it's some kind of sort of gut feeling. But what I noticed is in for example, it was a few weeks ago. I met a friend of mine in the bus, and at first she didn't really look at me, and she was really like in this angry, like looked like really angry. And then when I said hi, and she said, "Oh, hi," and then she suddenly changed the demeanor. It was totally different. And do you know maybe why this is the case for the people in general? Because I don't know myself if I'm also this kind of person because I don't see myself from outside. Yeah.
Yeah. So what if we all had a mirror and
Mhm.
we're able to, I mean, everybody's in their phones, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at their phones
Yeah.
and so their
Mhm.
screen time is high. But
Mhm.
the whole point is you can tell whether somebody is in the moment and they're enjoying life at that moment. They could
Mhm.
be doing an assignment or attending to something that's urgent, and then you happen to notice them in public and they're not, you can just tell they're not aware
Mhm.
of their surroundings, and then you've taken them out of that stress moment. You're like, oh, and they're
Mhm.
elated to see you, they're happy to see you, you
Mhm.
you bring joy to their heart
Mhm.
and help them forget for a moment of whatever that stressful moment is. um and in that regard, people, I think, want to tune out
Mhm.
maybe what they're seeing on a daily basis. And so thereby it's easy to look in your phone. I do this little practical for
Mhm.
my classes and interview classes
Mhm.
because, not everybody in the class has the experience.
Mhm.
Some may be introverts, and anybody can be a great interviewer. You have to get out of that shell
Mhm.
and go and be willing to dive into You're getting out of your comfort zone as an interviewer. So
Mhm.
I'll tell them, get on an elevator. Why? So elevators typically are, maybe um, three people front,
Yep.
three people back, right? Your maximum of six
Mhm.
people typically.
Mhm.
And I'll say, get on the elevator. And quickly look at everybody as the door opens and you get on. Everybody is almost identical. They're looking in their phone
Yes.
and they're waiting for that however many floors. They're
Mhm.
waiting for the ding.
Mhm.
Um, and then everybody who gets on immediately turns facing the door. And
Yes,
so what does
yes.
that say? That means I can't wait to get off of this
Mhm.
elevator. This
Yeah.
very uncomfortable, right? Because first and foremost, elevators defy
Mhm.
um, what we do in the sense of feeling comfortable. It's defying my personal space. Everybody's in my personal space. I don't know
Mhm.
you or I don't care for you.
Mhm.
And so thereby my blood pressure is going up. You can see it in their body language,
Mhm.
and looking at a phone, looking away
Mhm.
helps them draw out of that. And
Yep.
so I say to my new interviewers, stay in front and face them
Mhm.
with your back to the door.
Yep.
Be be different. It's going to feel very uncomfortable for you,
Yeah. Totally, yeah.
but do it for the length of times one, two, three,
Yeah.
whatever many floors.
Yeah.
You do that a few times, then you're like, wow. So you're looking at people and they already sense it. They'll look up real quick,
Yes,
look
yes,
back down.
definitely. Yeah.
Um, they're faced with what is first and foremost. You can tell them, but what if somebody is going to do harm to them? They're like, I don't want to know. I don't want just whatever. Um,
Yeah.
So as an interviewer, that's good because it tests you. It
Mhm.
takes you out of your shell. You are just like them,
Yeah.
where you feel uncomfortable, but you're not facing the door. You're facing them. And then I'll say, start a conversation with
Yep.
somebody. Do you have
Yeah.
a time?
Mhm.
Or hey, it's just something that you're going to watch people's reactions. Say,
Yeah.
remember those moments. um, see what stress feels like and
Yeah.
what their body's doing, and see you just created a survey for yourself.
Mhm.
5 people, 6 people did
Mhm.
the exact same thing and reacted the exact same way, because you created a stressful moment for them. So things like that I do. Go out, be aware,
Mhm.
and look at for the consistencies. There are many consistencies
Mhm.
to how the body reacts. What's comfortable, what's not comfortable,
Mhm.
what's stressful, what's not stressful, what's
Mhm.
a lie, what's not
Mhm.
a lie, and then be able to piece those together. Ultimately,
Mhm.
you should be looking as the interviewer saying, I'm stumped, I'm lost. And then what does that mean? Keep talking to them,
Mhm.
uh, until what is said either backs up what you already have as a way of
Mhm.
physical evidence, investigative,
Mhm.
your background, and then ultimately things that are meshing with what the body is doing and so forth. And just always know there's an exception to the rule. Um, and people are different.
Funny that you say that because today when I was before I entered the train, I just arrived at the train station and I was just looking at the people, all of them in the phone, and I was wondering why today I noticed this. You know, maybe because we we talk. I don't know. Maybe this came to my mind, but it was really weird. Like I was like, they're all on their phones, and I said, okay, I can take out my phone or I just stand there and just look around instead of being also the person who is just on the phone. It's just a really funny thing, yeah.
Yeah. And with that, you're making notes.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's what I teach is make that a part of your reality and your everyday experiences. And
Mm,
so thereby it helps you get to what ultimately an interview should be is a conversation, and a conversation between
mm,
two people, two friends, two strangers who
mm,
are finding a liking that, hey,
mm,
I enjoy talking to you.
yeah.
Then the conversation is a volleyball of information, and there's no need to lie. It's truthful information. Could be a little bit embellishment, if we have those first moments to try
Yes.
to win somebody over, but ultimately, it is a truthful conversation, and there's a volley of information, and that should be no different in a law enforcement interview.
Mhm. Yeah, something that I also noticed, some people also tell me that, I mean, they can leave me in a room and I suddenly speak with three different peoples, and they notice, for example, when I travel alone, when I'm in this row sitting and the next one sitting next to me, I I don't know why, but I find any topic to speak to this person, and suddenly this person changed. It's not in his focus anymore. Just, oh yeah, you also from Germany and so on, and then we just starting almost the whole trip is just speaking to this person, and then you see that the people are actually nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing, and I think that's ultimately because interviewing, um, being an interviewer in law enforcement is not everybody's forte. There are some people who may say, "Listen, I'm not good at it, and I don't want to learn it, so thereby it's not going to be theirs." And then there are many obstacles to a good interview, which are your environmental, your own personal schedule,
Yes.
whatever it may be, where you're not in the moment, and people, the people on the opposite side of that table or that other chair, they know too you're not in it, and so thereby, if you're not vested in it, they're not going to return the favor, and
Yeah, I would say it is the life. But it depends also if you are introvert or extrovert. But usually, I mean, I get along with a lot of different kind of people. And also when I've been in the US, I've been in the elevator, and I was speaking with this person. Turns out she's a police sergeant, and then suddenly we talked like 1 hour. We were talking, we sat down and we talked a lot, and like it's some random, actually
yeah,
people up.
it's
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it? Especially in what in what you do and what you're doing. Both
Hmm.
you're fascinated. I can tell, as an interviewer, to get to know people's backgrounds, what makes people tick, and that should be no different. And it's also you as the interviewer
Yeah.
creates that nice atmosphere of meeting strangers and then turning a strange moment into, wow, this is
Mhm.
could be a friend for life, even if you were never to reconnect.
Yes.
And so it is the interviewer's goal, and it is their responsibility to make that room feel comfortable.
And how did you train your mindset when you enter an interrogation room to do an interview to be successful with it? I mean, I can't imagine that in the beginning it was already like this today. I think it took a bit of time, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, like anything else is training, and training
Mm,
continues to fine
mm,
tune a talent, and so some people, are people born that way in the sense of a
mm,
talent to be a musician, to be a funny person, to be
mhm,
a great actor,
mm,
actress, um, or are they constantly fine tuning it? There are people who go to school for something, and then there are people
mm,
who, hey, I had an uncle that could
mm,
play piano by ear,
mhm,
but couldn't read music.
mhm,
And so I do believe there's a whole
mhm,
collection of different types of people,
mhm,
but it is a talent, and you love going after that talent, that goal. And so thereby, early on, yeah,
mhm,
you're gonna fail,
mhm,
um, and you're gonna learn from that. But
mhm,
ultimately, I think
mhm,
what I go into, first and foremost, let me do my preparation. Let me know who and what this person's about.
mhm,
Um, to be able to have some things that they should not lie about, that I can ask a question, and then if I know the answer is not true,
mhm,
then I'm watching the body. I'm very much clued in on the body, and while I'm doing that, I'm also thinking of my next question
mm,
to follow up and see what it is that me and this person have not um we're not on the same playing field.
mm,
And ultimately that's just practice, practice, practice. That's
mm,
why I tell especially my interview students,
mm.
um, talk to everybody as if it's an interview,
Okay.
and make mental notes of that and
Mhm,
confirm your
mhm,
suspicions. And
mhm,
if your suspicions are not being confirmed,
mhm,
continue to ask the questions and watch the body to
mhm,
see why. Um, and perhaps there's an exception to that rule, and that's why that rule didn't apply here.
mhm.
Um, whether it be a medical issue, a mental issue, or I could care less about you. You
Mm.
I wouldn't be friends with you. I don't look up to you. I don't respect you. And so thereby, like that's that's on the interviewer, for not creating an atmosphere that's comfortable. You're going to hear me say comfortable a lot because I need that person to feel comfortable and want to be there and engaged in a conversation.
That is the reason why when there is an interview, the suspect is facing the door instead of the doors behind. But you see it in
Yeah.
a lot of crime
Hmm.
series and movies and so on. And
Yeah.
also, speaking about that, that's something that somebody asked me to ask. It's about the difference between what the FBI is in the series and in real. I guess people
Yeah.
have this
Hmm.
imagination that FBI is just, knocking the door, FBI, open up. But I guess it's not the case in real life.
Yeah. Though I will say, Colino, there's a few times when you're able to, as an FBI agent, kind
Yeah.
of play off the movie that you
Yeah.
saw. And you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I would never say that. I would never do that. But then there are moments that even in the FBI,
Mhm.
um, especially with some of my partners that I've worked with who had some great senses of humor, they're like,
Mhm.
Scott, this is the time we can say it.
Mhm.
Let's be an FBI agent in the movie. And
Yeah.
it would be like you could pound on a door and like, this is
Yeah.
the FBI.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's something, right? Um, so sometimes we can play on that,
Mhm.
but ultimately, the movies I think depict, at least the ones I have seen, movies, TV shows, and whatnot,
Mhm.
they depict the FBI often in many ways,
Mhm.
as we know everything and our local partners know nothing, and
Yes.
thereby you have those rifts and those
Yeah.
rivalries. I've experienced that, but
Mhm.
for the most part, especially where I worked,
Mhm.
the FBI, we partnered with all our federal, state, local partners. Um, so I do believe shows will um, will blow those out of proportion.
Mhm.
And of course, like any TV show, police show, you know, it is mundane work.
Mhm.
And I enjoy the mundane work, which means I'll go to my office and I'll just look at piles and piles of paper
Mhm.
and tasks. So I have to stay on task and I have to follow what the FBI taught me in
Mhm.
basic investigation 101.
Mhm.
And it is document everything, articulate everything,
Mhm.
and always be exploring for new leads. That's not show worthy. That's everyday hours of,
Yeah.
if I subpoena bank records and I get back a disk that
Mhm.
has thousands and thousands of pages,
Mhm.
where am I going to start with that? Well, the the FBI has been good. We're in the last,
Mhm.
well, probably 20 years now,
Mhm.
where even more, where it's like, hey, we don't want the case agent doing all the analytical work. Let's hire experts and train them and let them do amazing analytical work. So now you have these absolute fantastic FBI analysts
Mhm.
that they love the puzzle,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, hey, Scott, we came up with this idea from what we were analyzing. And so when the two heads meet together,
Mhm.
um, I tell you, when the FBI started to employ analysts
Mhm.
in all cases, in all squads, a fantastic thing. So that is and ultimately that's what you're doing. You're piecing things together that could never go on a camera.
Yes.
Wow, people would be falling asleep.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, but yes, there are 2 shows that I like.
Mhm.
Um, Not necessarily real, but I felt like they captured moments
Mhm.
of the very realness of the
Mhm.
FBI,
Mhm.
and that is, Silence of the Lambs,
Mhm.
with Jodie Foster
Mhm.
and
Anthony
first
Hopkins. Mm?
and what's that?
Anthony Hopkins. It's
Yes,
the
yeah, oh,
the
fantastic,
yeah,
yeah, but they captured moments. Of course, that would never happen.
yeah,
Let's let's get this rookie, this
mm,
new agent, take her out of the academy and go talk to serial killers.
yeah,
Um, but there were real moments.
mhm,
Just the way she was able to capture being a new agent,
mhm,
being in a big moment.
mhm,
Um, of course, they were able to film there, so there were real moments
mhm.
that I felt like they captured. And then the first season of The Mindhunter, I thought was very well
It's
done.
it's really good, yes. Yeah.
I like FBI True.
Mhm,
Uh, I've seen the FBI series. I've seen
mm,
um, Criminal Minds.
mhm,
So many.
yeah.
Uh, but there are some good ones, and then there are some that are just pure entertainment.
Yes, of course, this FBI open up and kicking in doors, and I mean, it's almost every series they kick the doors open. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are good moments. There are
Mhm,
fun moments in the
mhm,
real FBI
mhm,
world that,
mhm,
but then there are many, many
mhm,
days that are
which are
mundane.
boring
Still
and doing
productive, still productive, but mundane.
yeah. Yeah, it's the same as a forensic scientist. People feel like it's a CSI and everything. You know CSI? I think you watched it a bit. That
Yes,
things are
CSI, I like
zooming
the
in
CSI
and
series. Yeah.
you are suddenly solving all the cases, but it's not the case. No, it's it's
Yeah.
sometimes boring work. Just going with a swap. I guess you know what a swap is. Going over a swap over a shelf and just it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing special.
Tagging it,
Yes.
and then you doing your forensic, work on it, right? Those are long, tedious, mind-blowing
Yeah.
headaches,
Yeah.
and then it may not produce the result that you.
Yeah, that you expect.
Yeah.
And also, something that I wanted to ask is about the situation. I mean, I guess you faced a lot of things which are gruesome, I guess, and how you were able to disconnect between your work and your private life. Because I guess this is something that maybe you have to learn or you at some time get to used to it.
Yeah, those are great questions, and sometimes I think first and foremost, it's knowing who you're with,
Hmm.
not only in the academy, but your partners, knowing that they're experiencing the same thing, and being able to talk things through, with somebody who's been there.
Hmm.
At the same time, it's having an amazing sense of humor,
Hmm.
where if there was a camera on a particular investigator, a police officer, an agent,
Hmm.
when you are in the middle of a crime scene where there's no cameras
Hmm.
other than the camera for the sake of documenting. Um, it's like one of those things. It's out of context. You may hear some banter, some humor,
Hmm.
where it will seem totally inappropriate,
Yes.
but it is not meant for the outside world, right? It is not meant for the victims' families. It
Hmm.
is meant and it is done for the sake of being able to take something
Hmm.
so horrible,
Hmm.
and be able to make sense of it, but at the same time, clear your mind, because your mind can take you to terrible places.
Hmm.
So imagine a terrible, terrible thing has happened, and
Hmm.
so for example, I was, a responder to 9/11, so I went to the Pentagon for 9 weeks,
Hmm.
and
Oh,
you
yeah.
see things. and you are picking things up that you would have never imagined because your mind can't conceive
Mhm.
some of the amazing, horrible things that can happen to a human body,
Mhm.
right? Because of what somebody has done,
Mhm.
or an accident, what an accident, a horrible accident can do. And so when you see, and I've been to many crime scenes
Mhm.
that are horrific, the
Mhm.
idea is get your mind quickly out of that because
Mhm.
what you're doing is you're thinking, could I be in that same situation?
Mhm.
Could somebody I love be in that same situation?
Mhm.
And how painful would it be? So your mind is asking all the right things,
Mhm.
and no different than anybody else. Um, but you have to deal with it in a way that I'm here for a reason.
Mhm.
My job has put me here. The victim has put me here,
Mhm.
and and I have a job to do in order to try to bring some comfort,
Mhm.
um, some sense of justice,
Mhm.
and when you do that, your mind is staying focused. You're doing what you need to do. You're professional about it, and then once it's all said and done, what happens to the mind? Um, and that's why I think many in our jobs, um, and as we see PTSD in our military
Mhm.
returning, they see so much so bad, they tried to normalize it, but it's not normal.
Mhm.
So for us, and the idea is first and foremost,
Mhm.
what is it that can help you get out of that situation mentally and
Mhm.
focus back on?
Mhm.
For me, it's family. For me, it's faith.
Mhm.
And then good friends who can say, you know, wasn't that something? And being able to laugh,
Mhm.
being able to make those inappropriate, humorous, um, which is just the mind being able to deal with something so bad. And when you're in the moment, it makes sense, and
Mhm.
then be able to process it later. Now, the FBI is also very good,
Mhm.
um, at when they send you to a major crime scene, for example, 9/11.
Mhm.
Um, when I participated in many crime scenes, looking for bodies, looking for burial sites,
Mhm.
uh, and then processing crime scenes.
Mhm.
The FBI is very good at maintaining your mental focus and your
Mhm.
mental health.
Mhm.
So they will also send out emails to all those that might have worked a particular horrifying scene
Mhm.
or case and say, we're checking in.
Mhm.
And here's the resources and the support. They may bring in the whole group. For
Mhm.
example, our 9/11 cohort,
Mhm.
um, they provided us professional therapists as a group session to
Mhm.
where you all talk things through. Uh, what were the downs, the ups? What can we do as an FBI family do help the next set of agents who may go into a situation? What can we do better? What can we do the same? Um, and then offer you private help if you feel like you need it.
Mhm.
So they're very good at maintaining that. Hey, we have people that are watching you, and something is off, and that's been very helpful to where you see that as an agency that says, hey, we're trying to always maintain the mental health of our employees. So
Mhm.
that's a good thing, and I think all those things have been beneficial.
Yeah, it's really important to disconnect somehow. And also, the police sergeant I talked with when I've been in the US, she also said, for example, in Christmas, she had a case where a young boy was shot. And also, when she got home, she needs to put this mask on. She's family enjoying the food and so on. But she said that still it's in the back of the head, the situation, because it's in the same day. You have Christmas and you were in a crisis, then you go home and then you deal with speak with your family and so
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
And that goes back to Kalino,
Mhm.
going back to earlier in your conversation, how
Mhm.
we how people, if they're not aware, they choose not to be aware because of a stress or something they don't want to know.
Mhm.
And so the same way
Mhm.
with law enforcement, you're forced into a situation and
Mhm.
you are dealing with something that could
Mhm.
be very ugly to take
Mhm.
in. And so you're juggling these.
Mhm.
Yeah. As that sergeant, she now has to put on another face for her family,
Mhm.
um, and celebrate Christmas as a parent or whatever have you. So,
Mhm.
family support is good. My wife has always been, she knows she'll ask questions, and if I can talk about it, and but to always be able to talk
Mhm.
in ways that
Yeah.
you may not get into the details, but you provide enough information to where
Mhm.
I always tell these young cops and these young agents that I meet with, know what you're if you're not yet in a committed relationship,
Mhm.
um, make sure they're very well aware of what you do. And then
Mhm.
if you are in a committed relationship and now entering into this world, make sure your significant other knows what
Mhm.
you're doing
Mhm.
and is a willing partner, right? Because they may not be in the thrill of what you
Mhm.
go through, because there is a thrill to it. There is
Mhm.
an adrenaline to it, to
Mhm.
being in something that nobody else gets to be a part of.
Mhm.
And then hopefully being a part of the solution. So
Mhm.
then when you come home and it's like the
Mhm.
thrill is not
Mhm.
there, how do you communicate that without getting too technical or horrifying or
Mhm.
but be able to say, hey, this is what took place and so forth. And you just talk it out. And to me, communication
Mhm.
is a key component.
Mhm. Can I ask you, did you had also times where you said, "Okay, this is too much. I would like to quit"?
I will say this: my very first, I believe it was a couple of years after I was a
Mhm.
police officer,
Mhm.
and I got into a, I'll call it a wrestling match. It was a scuffle with
Mhm.
a prisoner
Mhm.
who we were simply transporting,
Mhm.
and one thing led to another,
Mhm.
where that prisoner managed to break out.
Mhm.
Um, and so you envision as an
Mhm.
outsider that if somebody is handcuffed and
Mhm.
shackled, that they
Yeah.
could do no harm to you, and that's what your mind is telling you.
Yeah.
And then to have realized that this person was able to get a gun,
Mhm.
was able to get into a position that could have fired at
Mhm.
me or my partner.
Mhm.
um, but of course, with everything said and done,
Mhm.
no injury,
Yeah.
uh, but it was a fight for life.
Mhm.
It was probably in the moments, days, weeks after, where I was living alone. I was not
Mhm.
married yet,
Mhm.
where I severely questioned everything I wanted to do to get into law enforcement.
Mhm.
Um, and it was a real experience that called me to question where I was probably, I think I was close to resigning.
Mhm.
I felt like I don't know if I can get over this moment.
Mhm.
Um, but with a good police department, a good chief,
Mhm.
and definitely a good friend,
Mhm.
a friend for life of the person who I was in that moment with,
Mhm.
a lot of talking and a lot of, hey, it's just another experience in life and you did it.
Mhm.
And then you have somebody that says you may be looking at the negative side to it,
Mhm.
which is good.
Mhm.
It's got to be done in order to keep saying, could I
Mhm.
prevent that from happening the next time?
Mhm.
But then you have people telling you things that you need to hear, but you don't tell yourself.
Mhm.
That's because of what you did, it
Mhm.
resulted in a good aftermath,
Yeah.
even though you don't see that in that struggle.
Mhm.
And that was probably the last time I've been through some
Mhm.
horrifying things, but I felt like I had the right components in place
Mhm.
to help me through where I realized this was and is a dream job, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it.
Mhm. And when you think about your time when you worked at the police and also when you were at the FBI, what was the first thing you thought in the morning? So, oh, I'm so glad to wake up to go to this job, or is it like, oh, I'm really curious today, what is going on? And
Yeah, I all of that. It's,
Okay.
it was exciting
Mm,
to do that. It is an adrenaline rush. Even
mhm,
in the mundane
mm,
days, you sit in your desk, you're like, "What? This is what I
mm,
am a part of."
mm,
Um, and there are, when you really break it down between first responders, law enforcement, there's very few
mhm,
in relation to the vast amount of people
mhm,
that exist, and you're a part of. You're always a part,
mm,
and you're the first to know
mhm,
because you're there.
mhm,
While the media is on the purview and the
mm,
outer trying to get information,
mm,
but you're in it, you know it, and that's a daily thing that you wake up every morning respecting,
mm,
being very thankful,
mm,
and but at the same time, you get up and you kind of plan
mm,
your mental strategy, but
mm,
at your case is your work, so that way there is
mm,
a major danger element.
mhm,
um, you're not fearful of that,
mm,
but you're cognizant,
mm,
and so you're enjoying the many good things that
mm,
there's no one day the same,
mhm,
not one day. And so it's that mental picture you're creating as you
mm,
prepare,
mm,
to say, okay, if something bad were to happen, am I prepared for it?
mhm, mhm. And what I also think about is, I mean, when you go to different cases, how do how do you don't let something which happens in another case influence you in the next case? I mean, in a negative way that you go inside bias because it's similar and
Yeah. Uh, training and preparation.
mm,
Because we as humans, we easily are all
mhm,
biased. It's a
mhm,
matter of being honest with yourself to
mm,
say, okay, um, I mean, in interviews, I'll say I went after that person pretty hard. I accused that person
mhm,
for lying when they probably weren't lying, or,
mhm,
um, so you constantly have to be questioning yourself, and then making it a part of your everyday training. In
mhm,
law enforcement, every aspect of life
mhm,
is part of that training. Um, Remember everything I did in a crime scene. So what was good, I will repeat, and what was bad, I'll say, don't do that again.
mhm,
Um, you know, I've had moments where a supervisor would come up and give you a direction,
mhm,
and that direction may be counterproductive
mhm,
to your investigation. Why? Because as the investigator,
mhm,
you're going to be testifying, and if you did something because a commander told you to do something, but
mhm,
it didn't either sit right with you or
mhm,
whatever, or it could be as simple as somebody saying, "Hey, I want to look at a crime scene," and you're like, "Okay, boss, come on in, but let me write down your name." "No, no, don't put me down because I don't want to go to court." And you're like, "Well, then you can't come." Those little things,
mhm,
right? You have to be willing to um, stand your ground.
mhm,
Always realize whatever you do or say is going to be contested in a courtroom. I did learn early on that everything in law enforcement you do when you're in official capacity,
mhm,
that you got to be able to answer for it. And when you know and have been through a court room testimony where you even have a jury staring at you, you have an audience who may not be making any judgments, but they're watching you.
mhm,
And then you have your judge and your attorneys.
mhm,
When you say things and you're like, wow, I'm not sure if my memory goes with what is written and so forth, all those things, you're second guessing yourself,
mhm,
which is all part of the training. and to say, let me go with what I documented. That's my memory. That's what I wrote. I know I'm truthful in what I wrote and what I accounted for. But then you got to experience,
mm,
wow, my memory has has uh has changed. And
mhm,
why has it changed? Is it a biases? Is it something somebody told me? And you have to train yourself to say,
mm,
document everything, write everything. I put my thoughts down. So
mm,
this way, if years later it comes up, I'll be like, I'm gonna reside on my report. It's a good report.
mm,
And my for example, it could be you told a story over and over and over again, and you're embellishing it only because of the audience you're with, and then that kind of becomes
mm,
the memory. But it's you realize I embellished it.
mm,
Somebody else who told it embellished it. Then it comes back to you. You're
mm,
like, wow, is that even the same story? You know,
mm.
like the old party tricks. You tell somebody something, and by the time it comes back to you, it's a different story.
Yes.
Um, all that plays into law enforcement, and the courtroom is that testing ground to say,
Mhm,
get rid of all that and rely upon the good police work you've done.
mm,
And then if you forgot to do something,
mm.
you forgot to document something, you accept that responsibility and say, I screwed up, and I don't want to be in this position again.
Mm,
And that's what helps fine tune those things. Get better at what you do it regularly, do it the right way, consistently. And that's what helps you go from crime scene to crime scene, investigation, investigation, carrying over the good,
mhm.
but leaving out and the mistakes that you made.
I guess it's also kind of you need to really like this kind of job to go from a crime scene to crime scene as well. And also to say, hey, I'm going with a freshly mind into this crime scene and don't think about anything else. And it's the same, for example, when I worked 1 week, I mean, I was at the police station and we went through 5 crime scenes. Fortunately, it was not a murder, but it was burglary. So still,
Hmm.
I noticed as well that when I went to the next crime scene, it was for me, it's just disconnect to the other because it's different. It's a different house. Usually it's not the same house who gets broken twice, but it can happen, but it's not that often. Yes. And also it's you have different level, the design of the furniture is different, and that's why for me it was like, okay, I need to focus on that and not think about the another crime scene that I went to.
Yeah, I
Uh,
totally agree.
Yes, and that's why I think in the end it's also to follow your passion, to that you really like that what you're doing, and I can see that you really like your job. That's why you said you also doing trainings for the police for police stations. I think around the world or just in the U.S.
Yeah, no, right now, here in Delaware, and then
in
in Pennsylvania, and those are
Pennsylvania.
my two primary. As
Mhm,
as I used to when I was in the FBI, I would
mhm,
travel the world
yeah,
to not only teach what I know and what the FBI's way of
mhm,
doing something, but also learning from them. Like,
mhm,
you ask the questions and like, wow, okay, that's what you do.
yeah,
That works. And
mhm,
um, like I've gone to many different types of interview schools,
mhm.
and you try to, beg, borrow, and steal what works.
It depends on where you're going as well, I guess. Yeah. But I think in the end, it's as I said, it's like you need to really to like what you're doing and also to look forward. And will you in the future write a book about your experience?
Well, if you know somebody, so I have put down, especially it was during COVID. My
Mm,
wife said, this is the time when you can take all that's in your
mm,
head and put it pen to paper, and that's
mm,
what I did.
mm,
So I've wrote many of my experiences,
mm,
kind of it, I think with my humor, the
mm,
way I see things, trying to
mm,
put my spin on things. capturing the case, but from a personal and a professional point of view.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've taken the time to write
Mhm.
my memoirs of my most notable cases and experiences.
Mhm.
But for now,
Mhm.
they remain um, words on a paper that have
Uh,
not been published.
but you may be planning in the future, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I welcome. I think I there are some professionals that I need to solicit their help in
Mhm.
order to put the full package together.
Yeah. Is there a way that my viewers can support you? Do you have your own YouTube channel? Do you have your own podcasts or so on? Is there a way that they can support you?
Yeah, so I am part of Wilmington University in
Mhm.
their Center for Law, Justice, and Society. I'm also an adjunct instructor here
Mhm.
and enjoy that aspect of it. I enjoy being a guest on your podcast,
Mhm. Thank you very much.
and several other podcasts of friends that I have been a regular
Mhm.
guest on. But
Mhm.
no, it's other than our website
Mhm.
for, I believe it's CJI. If you did Wilmington University and went on
Mhm.
our webpage,
Mhm.
there is a link on the bottom of the webpage
Mhm.
for the what is the old term Criminal Justice Institute. That's how we
Mhm.
started 7 years ago.
Mhm.
Me and my partner, my partner in crime, my
Mhm.
FBI prior partner,
Mhm.
right, Dr. Ray Carr.
Mhm.
We built that program, and that program is now being expanded
Mhm.
into the Center for Law, Justice, and Society.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's on the webpage for Wilmington University, and you can find things on there that we do. We
Mhm.
bring in
Mhm.
lectures from around the world.
Mhm.
Uh, but other than that, it's
Mhm.
I like staying
Mhm.
in the thick of it for training.
Ah, okay. No worries, but I will put the link in the show notes, and then my viewers can also see if they are interested in it. Yes. So, thank you very much for joining me for this podcast episode. I have a lot of questions, but I think you have already 1.5 hours. And I think if you would like in the future, I can also ask you again if you want to join for.
Galena, I'm always welcome to be on your show.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
very
you
much.
very much. Yeah. If you ever happen to be in Switzerland, yeah, just tell me.
That sounds like a fantastic trip.
Yes, I can tell you because I also live near the mountains. It's beautiful. I can tell
Wow. Mm.
you. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice evening. And I think I know you are. Yeah, you have 12. I think 12 o'clock.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So for
12:30.
us, it's evening. So no worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you
And
for the
yeah,
invite.
thank you for your interesting stories. Vielen Dank da draußen fürs Zuhören. Es war mir eine große Ehre, Scott Duffy zu interviewen. Wie schon am Anfang erwähnt, habt ihr die Möglichkeit, diesen Podcast mitzugestalten. Ihr habt am Ende gehört, dass ich sicherlich Scott Duffy noch einmal einladen werde. Und ich habe mir 3 Sachen rausgesucht, die sicherlich interessant wären. Ihr könnt selber da draußen entscheiden, ob es euch auch interessieren würde oder ob es Dinge gibt, die euch mehr interessieren würde. Zum einen ist er ja Verhörspezialist und mich würde interessieren, wie er in gewissen Verhören vorgeht. Und dazu würde ich auf YouTube einfach mal Verhöre raussuchen, um einfach zu verstehen, wie würde er auf manche Situationen reagieren. Was sagt zum Beispiel die Körpersprache ihm oder was sagt das, was die Person oder der potenzielle Täter oder die Täterin sagt. Zweitens, wie am Anfang schon erwähnt und wie er selber gesagt hat, er war eines der Ermittler vom 11. September. Das bedeutet, es wäre sehr interessant zu wissen, wie es für ihn war, dort zu ermitteln. Drittens, er hat an verschiedenen Cold Cases gearbeitet, was bedeutet, es wäre sehr interessant zu wissen, wie es ist, in einer Cold Case Unit zu arbeiten oder an dem Cold Case, wo er zuletzt gearbeitet hat, mehr zu erfahren. Weil leider war sein letzter Fall ein Cold Case und es ist bis heute nicht gelöst. Also ab in den Kommentaren damit, was euch interessiert oder ob es andere Dinge gibt, die euch mehr interessieren würde. Bleibt alle gesund da draußen und schaltet in 2 Wochen wieder ein, wenn es heißt, der rote Faden des Verbrechens.